Fine. Who has a turn to read today? Can you summarize yesterday's discussion and start the next topic?
So Thursday's discussion or yesterday's class?
Both.
Okay, so in Thursday's class we learned about like the different opinions and theories regarding like how this world was created from, and the first two theories we learned was Ajativad and Swabhavvad. So in Ajativad, this is a theory by Acharya Gautpad, in which he states that Brahma does not have a characteristic or attribute to create something out of himself. This would mean that since like Brahma is like the absolute reality, nothing can ever be produced out of himself, like hence the universe is an illusion. And this would mean that this universe, as well as everything inside of it, is considered an illusion. Only Brahma can be considered as the ultimate reality. And this theory also states that this universe is simply a result of like Brahma's imagination. There is no cause or effect. And the next theory we learned was Swabhavvad, and this is like a theory of Lord Buddha, in which this theory states that we don't need a creator or for this universe. There is no material cause or an efficient cause. They believe that it's a law of nature for every single object to like create, sustain, and destroy itself. And like this is like a theory which is like also accepted by science, in which would in which it would mean that there is no creator in order to like jumpstart this process. So like in relation to the universe, there is no person who would create this jagat, meaning that they would say that this universe has happened by itself accidentally.
Yeah. So the main point which the Swabhavvad, the theory of Swabhavvad accepts is that like a river goes on flowing, same way the universe will create itself, it will sustain itself, and it will destroy itself. As in the theory of Big Bang, which is accepted by science, they say that suddenly, without any reason and without anything, there was an explosion, and out of it everything emerged. So this is a theory which explains the process of creation like an accident, and like an accidental process, the universe gets created out of something. So just to correct you about one thing, that they don't negate the efficient cause and the material cause. It means they do accept it. But the only thing is that the process of creation doesn't need any person to do so. It means Brahma is not the material or efficient cause. So for example, in the theory of Big Bang, they would say that the atom will be the material cause. We don't need any efficient cause. So material cause and efficient cause are present, no one can negate them, but the only thing they negate is that unlike Brahma or like any of the religious philosophies, Allah or God or maybe any of the godly entity, we don't need any such entity. That is the main point. The universe can create itself even without a creator. That's the main point which they target.
Ji, Raja. So should I continue on today's?
Yes, you may.
Can you see my video?
Yes, I am able to see you.
Okay.
But keep it in the correct position. Your half face is visible.
Alright. So, am I visible now?
Yeah, this is fine.
Okay. So, the next theory is Pratitya Samutpadvad, and this is like a theory which Lord Buddha has proposed this theory. According to it, many objectives come together and they make the function possible. But just one cause can never yield the function. The gathering of many causes, pratitya, generates samutpad, it. Therefore, we must not conclude upon a single cause for this universe. So this theory is explaining the theory of pratitya samutpadvad, and this is a theory by Lord Buddha, in which he explains that many causes come together in order to create a function, and which would mean that the effect cannot happen with a single cause. There has to be multiple causes, and in relation to the universe, there are multiple causes which created this universe, and there's just not a single cause.
So the main point which the Buddha wanna discuss is that, for example, sometimes in the clouds we find some sort of shapes. Sometimes we just feel that we are able to see an elephant in the cloud. Sometimes we find out that picture or of a dinosaur, or sometimes of a human being and something else. So we are able to find such elements or such shapes in the clouds. And for example, if seeing to those formations, if we say that those are the real shapes, it means that really the cloud is creating a human being, or a cloud is creating an elephant, or a cloud is creating something else from it, then it is wrong. It means actually cloud is not creating anything. We are just assuming the shapes. So this is the example which is given by Buddha for explaining pratitya samutpadvad. Here he explains that alike the position of the clouds, some consequences creates that shape out of the clouds. But for example, if I start considering that cloud is creating the shape of an elephant, or cloud is creating the shape of a dinosaur or a human being or bird, animal, etc., then it is completely a wrong thing. So Buddha explains that this is how pratitya samutpad is created. Pratitya will mean we will start assuming something. It means we will be able to see something, and out of that we would start considering that this material is creating something out of it. But actually clouds are not creating the shape of an animal, clouds are not creating the shape of a dinosaur, or clouds are not creating the shape of a human being. Clouds are not creating anything, but being on the earth, we are just assuming the shapes in the clouds. So this is how Buddha says that alike we start assuming the shapes in the cloud without the cloud being the cause of those shapes, or cloud being related to those things. Same way, we even assume some materials as the cause and some materials as its effect. But actually there is no such relation between cause and effect. So this is what pratitya samutpad means. Pratitya will mean that it is just a part of your pratiti. It is not the truth. Pratiti will mean only our experience which will be for a short time. So our experience generates the material, not the material has any sort of relation of cause and effect. Please don't disturb your video, otherwise keep it off, because in the recording everything will be visible.
Okay.
So keep it in a stable mode, otherwise keep it off. So what Buddha is explaining is that the theory of cause and effect, the theory where we relate the cause with the effect, or decide that this is the ultimate cause for the creation of this material. For example, we just say that clay is the cause of the pot. Clay creates the pot, or the pot is created out of the clay. So clay and pot, they will have the relation of cause and effect. But Buddha will say that this relation which is thought by you, or the relation which is decided by you, it is not an actual relation. It is just a part of the assumption. It means some materials merge together and you start considering them as the causal materials, and something is created out of it and you start considering it as the effect. But actually there is nothing like cause and there is nothing like effect. All the materials, they just come together, and therefore we start assuming a relation of causality. But actually there is no material which works as a cause, and there is no particular material which works as an effect. But many more things, they just come together to show you the effect or to develop as an effect. And we start assuming, yeah, that this is the cause and this is the effect. This is what Pratitya Samutpadvad means. The next topic of Sangatvad, it will explain the same thing in detail. So if something remains incomplete in your understanding, just wait for the next topic also. But keep in mind the example of the clouds. The main point that Buddha wants to target is that the process by which we start assuming the shapes in the cloud, but actually clouds don't make any shape. They are just formatted in such a way that we are able to find the shape of any human being, animal or birds in it, and we feel that clouds are creating the things. So as this is an foolish thought, same way according to Buddha, the theory of causality even is a foolish thought. There is no need to relate to materials as cause and effect. Please read out the next one. The same topic will be clear there. The next theory of Sangatvad, even it is from Buddha.
Okay, Sangatvad. Everything has its own nature and characteristics. This means that everything has its entity and independence. For instance, one tree has its own identity as a tree, but when many trees are put together, then they are known as a forest. In fact, without a tree, a forest cannot exist. But generally, people hold a view that a tree is an efficient cause, whereas forest is an effect. Here, Sangatwadis disapprove the above theory. They believe a forest to be a group of trees and not an effect. So, is the world, which is also composed of many momentary matters, in a group? Sangat group can never be an external reality of the visible world, but a mere conjecture of an onlooker. Sangatwad theory has been set by Lord Buddha. So, Sangatwad is a theory of Lord Buddha in which each object has its own separate entity and existence, but like when multiple of the same objects are put together, it causes a separate entity. And then here they give like an example of a tree, and a tree has its like own separate identity, but like when many trees are like put together, it creates a different identity of a forest. So this one, so like however Sangatwadis believe that like multiple of the same object do not form like a separate entity. They maintain their original identity. So like in the example of the forest, is just in the example of the trees, the trees maintain their original identity. They don't form a forest. It's just a group of trees. So in relation to the universe, like the universe is like based on the perception of a person. So it would mean that there is no external reality of this universe, and the universe maintains this like separate entity from Brahma.
See, this is the main theory which was proposed by Buddha. What Buddha wants to explain in Sangatavad is that all the materials which we see around us, they are just group of many more materials. And as they are in the group, we start considering that this is the name of the material, we give it a name and we start our usage with that material. For example, the Buddha gives the example of a tree and a forest. What is a forest? Forest is a mere conjuncture of many trees. It means 100 or 200 or 1000 trees come together, and when they are in a group or when they are all together, we give it a name that this is a forest. But actually forest is nothing other than the group of a tree. So the forest doesn't exist, only the tree exists. Now, for example, if we start dismerging the tree, it means what is a tree? The group of a branch, the group of the bark, leaves, fruits or flowers or roots, etc. Again, if we start dismerging it, there will be nothing like a tree. It will be a sangat, it will be a group. For example, if we say that this is the fruit, now even start dismerging the fruit. Again, you will be left with nothing. So, Buddha says that in this universe, nothing exists just because our indriya, it means our sensory organs, they want to relish the worldly materials, we just create them in our ideas. So as before starting the topic of causality, I had said that we have in the philosophical world, we have two theories which explain the process of causation. The first was realism and the second one is idealism. So the realism, it means that everything around us is real, and in the theory of idealism, what they say is that everything is created out of our idea, not in the universe. So nothing exists in the reality, but everything is just in our ideas. So this is what Buddha accepts. So what Buddha explains is, there is a interesting conversation between one of the disciple of Buddha, Nagarjuna, and a king named Milind. Milind was a very knowledgeable person, and once he challenged the disciple of Buddha that I want to have conversation with you. So the king was there with the disciple of Bhagwan Buddha, and when he arrived on a chariot. So when he arrived near Nagarjuna, Nagarjuna asked him, how you came here? So he said that I came here on a chariot. So Nagarjuna asked, what is a chariot? Can you define the chariot? So he said that, yeah, chariot is a vehicle. So Nagarjuna asked how it is created. He said that what are the parts of the chariot? So the king replied that chariot will have 4 wheels and a horse and a seat and the chhatra, the umbrella upon it, and etc. So he said that what will be the form of a chariot if we remove all these things out of it? For example, if I remove the 4 wheels, if I remove the seat, if we remove the umbrella, if we remove the horse, what will be the chariot? So the king replied that there will be no chariot. So Nagarjuna said that, so the form of a chariot exists in your ideas, not in the reality, because actually the chariot is nothing else than the group of these 4-5 materials. And if we start disassembling everything, it means all the materials which we have around us, consider anything. For example, we take mobile, start disassembling it. It is in a group. For example, if we remove the battery, if we remove the body, if we remove the screen, if we remove the other parts, what is mobile? Mobile is nothing else than the group of those multiple parts. So Buddha said that ultimately, if we start doing so with each and every material of this universe, nothing will exist, and whatever the name, forms and functions we have created, it means you assumed the name of the merged form of all those 4-5 tools as a mobile, and you gave it the name of a mobile, and you start behaving with a group of those 4-5 materials as a mobile, and you start the functions. But actually, there is no such name, no such form, and no such function which is related to mobile, because mobile is nothing else other than the sanghat or the group of its tools. So out of those 5 or 10 spare parts, when we merge those spare parts all together, we give it the name of a mobile. When we start removing one spare part out of it, there will be no mobile. Mobile won't exist. It means it was not at all existing. It was not in the reality. It was just existing in our ideas. Like we start assuming the shapes in the cloud, same way we have started assuming the materials in this universe. This is what Buddha explains. So Sanghatavad explains that the forest is wrong. There is nothing like forest. But the group of the trees, when we find that many trees in the group, we start naming it as a forest. Same way, each and every object in this universe is just a group of many such materials, and we start considering that this is the cause and this is the effect. But actually there is nothing so. Were you able to understand this?
Yeah, so this like Buddha explains that something like if you like an example of the forest, it is just like a group of trees. So and without the trees, it would just like there would be no forest. So even like if you break down a tree, it's like you find the bark, the fruit, the leaves. So everything in this universe is just like a group of materials just combined together in order to form an effect. So without the original cause, there would be no effect.
No, we won't need the relation of a cause and effect. This is what Buddha says. The effect and the cause both are just existing in our assumption, not in the reality. As we are assuming the shapes in the cloud, and we are considering that cloud is the cause and the shape we are able to see, or the shape which is visible, is the effect. As we are assuming there, same way we are even assuming the worldly causes and the effects. All the causal materials and all the effects, both are just a part of our assumption. They just exist in our idea and not in the reality. This is what Buddha wants to explain.
Okay, so there's no cause and effect, and then everything in this universe is just created like by a group of materials, and the object that is produced out of the group of materials being combined together is known as the object.
Yeah. So according to Buddha, the ultimate thing which will remain will be absolute emptiness, to which he gives the name as a Shunyavad. Just write down this thing, Shunyavad. So what he says is that if we will start dismerging everything, whatever is being merged, whatever is in a group, if we start dismerging it, if we start removing the singular parts out of all the merged material, nothing will remain at the end, and what will we have will be the ultimate eternal emptiness, the shunya. And the shunya is the reality, the emptiness is the reality.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone has any doubt regarding these two theories?
I have a question. So, like,
Yes.
according to what Lord Buddha said, like, everything is just our imagination, like, we're just assuming it. But, like, if what he says is true, then, like, can't we just stop assuming it? Like, when, like, according to him, if we just stopped assuming, would everything just, like, go away?
He says that stop having the wants. It means I want this thing, I want to fulfill the demand of my sensory organs, I want to relish or enjoy these materials, if we, what he says is that our wants to relish the worldly materialistic objects, those wants itself start assuming the materials, and we are just living like in a dream, in a hallucination, that I have all such materials around me which are providing me happiness. But actually, ultimately, everything will be resulting in the sadness. Nothing can give you any happiness. Everything is, he says that sarvam dukkham, it means everything is just, will ultimately provide you the dukh here. The reason is that whatever we have around us, everything is, nothing is endless. Everything has to end one or the other day. And the materials or the objects or the humans you used to relish yesterday, when they won't remain on this earth, you will be sad. Ultimately, you won't enjoy. So then what is the purpose of the life? So he says that start concentrating upon the shunya. He doesn't even accept the existence of soul, Atma. So he says that start doing the dhyan of the shunya, and when you will merge in the shunya, you will be free from all the bondages. The main thing behind the thought process of the Buddha was that, just sharing the part of his life story, that his parents had a dream that you will have a very great child, and they were asked that you want a foolish personality or you want a very intelligent person. So they obviously choose the intelligent person. So when Buddha was born, the forecasters, they forecasted that either he will be a great king or he will be a great saint. So being a king, his father never wanted him to be a saint. So he gave all the sort of materialistic happiness to Buddha and never allowed him to see any dukh, any problem in the universe. So he lived in such a lavish environment that Buddha felt that there is nothing else other than what I am enjoying in this universe. So once he asked his father that I want to visit our city, the city in which they used to rule. So his father told each and every citizen of his kingdom not to show Buddha any such thing which will give him the feeling of sadness, because he had never seen sorrow in his life. So when he was visiting his city, when he was going through his kingdom, he saw, first of all, he saw a person having some sort of illness. He was crying out of the pain he was feeling. So Buddha saw the pain for the first time. He never went through any sort of pain. So he asked him that why are you sad? What is the problem with you? He said that I am having this problem in my body, and I am not able to have any peace. After that, Buddha saw a dead body. He asked that what is this? He said that this person died. So he says that does everyone has to die? So the person answered that yeah, one or the other day we have to die. Everyone in this universe will have to die. So Buddha had seen the death for the first time. Then he saw a saint who was sitting under a tree. So he felt that only he had the feeling of happiness on his face. So that on that very night, Buddha left his kingdom and he became a saint. And after that, he tried many processes for attaining the knowledge, the ultimate knowledge, which is in the terms of Bauddha religion known as Bodhi. Bodhi means the ultimate knowledge. So after a long penance, Buddha attained that Bodhi, and there he concluded that the whole universe is full of sadness, and till the date we remain having the wants in our mindset, the wants to relish the materialistic objects, the worldly objects, we will remain sad. And the only way to attain nirvana, the nirvana is the term which was proposed by Buddha. Nirvana will mean liberation or salvation. So he said that the only method for attaining the liberation is the dhyan of shunya. So just go on negating the worldly materials, go on negating all the assumptions, go on negating each and every want and each and every thought. Nothing exists in this universe. Everything is just ultimate emptiness, the ultimate zero or the shunya. The shunya is a reality and everything else is just an assumption of our worldly requirements. Whatever we want, we start seeing them, but actually nothing exists. Like the dream. In the dream, no such material exists, but whatever is hidden in our mind, whatever we want to relish, we just see those objects in our dream. Same way, like we start assuming the shapes in the cloud, the whole universe is an assumption, nothing exists, and whichever material we are providing the name, form and function, everything is just a group of many such materials, and we start providing it a name. This is what the theory of Buddha explains is. Priyansha, were you able to understand?
Yeah, it's much more clear now. Thank you.
Okay. So, for all of you, go for the text once again. Try to understand this properly, and if we have any more doubts, we'll be discussing them tomorrow. Let us conclude here for today's session.
Tanvat Pranam Raja.